Today we are discussing goth bands from Costa Rica. This is only the second goth bands from a country video that I've made, the first focusing on Chile. I've been intending to make this video for a while now because Costa Rica has such a great goth scene. Not only are there several great bands, but they're very interconnected and have worked together a lot. Also, it's the only country in Central America with a pretty decently sized goth scene, and I'm Central American, even though Costa Rica and El Salvador aren't even touching and have totally different cultures and ethnic groups. But hey, it's the closest that I could get. Here I have 12 bands, not every Costa Rican goth band that exists, but as many as I could find a fair amount of music by and say some things about. They aren't ordered in terms of age or quality or anything like that, but how I thought they would sound good on a playlist together. Without further ado, here are the goth bands of Costa Rica. Let's start out with Last Dusk. Here we have a melodic and melancholic gothic rock band that always embraces the more mournful side of goth. There is a clear post-punk influence, but they have embraced more instrumentation to bring a more modern sound. Ariel and the Black Halos is one of the most rocking modern goth rock bands that I have come across that does so without slipping into metal or general hard rock. There are obvious 80s and 90s goth influences on their sound, but I feel that their sound can best be lumped in with some of the more modern goth rock bands of today. You may remember them because I reviewed their EP The Rise of Sakura previously. Lead man Ariel himself is probably one of the most prolific members of the Costa Rican gothic rock music scene, not only fronting his own band, but working with many other goth bands from the country, including many on this list, including the previous band that I mentioned actually. Draconian Incubus is more rocking gothic rock than the previous, sometimes falling into the gothic metal category. This is a band for you classy cultured goths to appreciate with all their literary and folkloric references in their lyrics, heck, the band's name itself, and allusions to older genres of music altogether. With this band here, whose name I believe is pronounced Tumulus TABIDVS, we have our first female-fronted band on the list. Some may describe this band as a bit more punk than goth in nature, but it achieves the qualifying darkness with their use of dissonant noise. Desorden Siniestro has actually gone through quite a few changes over their short time existing. They've always been on the darker side of alternative rock, but earlier sounds from them even fell into the emo category at times. However, at the moment they've embraced a spooky rock organ-driven death rock sound, so they qualify here. Caídas Libres is a band less on the ooky spooky side, but it definitely embraces the roots of goth music with their post-punk and new wave influences that often stay in minor chords. I wouldn't call them a nostalgia band though, as they use modern technology that even gives them a bit of a shoegaze sound. Here we have what may turn out to be the most controversial choice on this list in the form of shoegaze and post-punk band Sway. They're sad, they're dreamy, they rock in a melancholy way. What's not goth about that? Hashtag shoegaze is goth. Let's get it. With Enigmatika, we have ourselves a gothic metal band, though they like to call themselves ghost rock. There have been a lot of issues between goth and metal over the years, but the two can definitely be combined, and this is a great example of that. The heavy, distorted guitars and the deep, melodious vocals go together quite beautifully. Dark electro artist Mavroskeleto swings in with some synthy goodness. This one artist act has varied up the sounds over the years, from a more cold wave leaning sound to a bordering on soundtrack level feel. Here we have all-woman post-punk and synth-pop band Elektra Stroke. They have a pretty short list of available songs so far, but I like what I hear with their retro influences, dark sounds, and modern subject matter. It's time for an ethereal act, Red Apple Cvlt. With the mystical female vocals, airy instrumentation, and witchy subject matter, this self-declared darkwave and occult pop band will bring you on a trip right back to the 90s. We're ending on a neoclassical note with Sinful Sorrow. They're a new act who just came out with their debut album, which is also pieces, not songs, all eerie and dramatic instrumentals that tell a story when put together. It's been a while since we've had a good new neoclassical act, so I look forward to what's coming up. So that's my list. If you liked the songs that you heard, I did make a Spotify playlist with all these Spotify available bands that I mentioned. That is all of them except for Draconian Incubus and Desorden Siniestro. I will have a link to listen to all of them individually somewhere, whether that's Bandcamp or Spotify. As I mentioned last time, if I do one of these again, I'm probably going to have to narrow it down to subgenre, because all the countries with big enough goth scenes to say anything of substance about are too big to fit into a short video. If you like my content, I invite you to subscribe to me here or follow my other social media accounts, which are also linked below. Until next time!